I'm Sarah and I'm 21 years old and I just recently studied abroad and now I'm back. I studied abroad in Florence, Italy, and I enjoyed experiencing a different kind of culture the most. It was really nice being able to see how different it was living in another country compared to like here, and just observing the most, like walking on the streets and like hearing like someone like speak another language and see how everyone lived their lives. So mainly just like the culture and like the people. I chose to study abroad because I honestly just always loved traveling, but I never thought it was possible. I like did more research on it and I was like asking around. I was thinking, I was like, I think I could actually make this happen. So when I found out I could work towards my degree while also traveling, I was like, I have to do this. It was really nice living there. I felt like it was a lot more slow paced because of like their European lifestyle, and it wasn't like very go like here. I feel like I'm always constantly busy here. Over there I like felt like I always had things to do, but it was nice to like fit in time to like, oh, I want to go get coffee, I want to go explore this new place in Florence, I want to explore, like I want to like plan out where to go next for the weekend. It was just like a lot more enjoyable. After traveling like the world, or like just traveling, being over there by yourself and meeting new people, you have this new sense of confidence because you were able to maneuver around transportation in another country. You were able to like just figure out things in another language, and you were just able to just kind of problem solve. Being in Florence, like I traveled every weekend, so being in Florence, like I would only cook at home, I wouldn't be spending much. But then like that's why like on the weekends like I spend a lot on transportation, on like flights, trains, like all that. And then and then I could eat out on the weekends, and you gotta like kind of budget for the end. But also at the same time, it's like a lot of us have like our parents to fall back on and stuff. Mainly I would just like day to day I would live kind of like frugally, and then on the weekends I'm like, okay, but I want to enjoy life and like spend money on souvenirs and like on like places to go. I was so excited, and it was like very surreal because I couldn't even believe I'm kind of like, I like talk very positively, but like I'm a pessimistic thinker. Like I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go, I don't know. And I bought the flight, like everything was prepared, like I was on top of everything, but I was like, I don't even know if I'm actually going, like I don't know. But then when I got there, like with all my like baggage, and I got there and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I actually in Europe? So I don't know, I've worked on this like thinking of not having expectations, because like having high expectations can lead to disappointment. So like I just kind of like go into a lot of things like being open-minded, like I don't really know what to expect. And it was great. Like I don't know, it was just so awesome. Like I described it in my discussion post as like the best time of my life, and my professor was literally like, oh, like Sarah, how did you describe it? I'm like, literally the best time of my life, because it was so amazing and it went by so fast. And even while living it, like that's how you know it's like a really good time, when you're like in the moment, you're like, I'm gonna miss this so much. And I miss it like all the time. I think about it all the time. The transportation culture there, like the public transportation, like the trains, I love the trains. The metros, like it's just so much more efficient, and walking, it's like, it's not great if you're late or something, but but it's just nice in that way to have that time, and it's like you're not in your own bubble, you're like surrounded by other people. Like over here you can go like the whole day just being in your car driving places, and like you don't even have to really interact with anyone. But over there it's like you constantly like, you're like walking someplace and like you're like observing other people like being around, and you can just like, I love the power of like observing, because it's like you see like how like everyone is like living, and like just people watching. I think that's so like enjoyable, and I don't know, I just really liked public transportation, as silly as that sounds. Like I really liked it. Open-minded. So I mentioned this earlier, and I feel like especially experiencing like new cultures, going to someplace else, it's good to just like be open. Like honestly, like the word for it is just being open to everything that you're receiving. And then it's also like you have to be respectful too. You're going somewhere that's not like where you're from. Like it's good to like try speaking that language. It's good to like try to like learn like what the social norms are, so you don't like kind of like do something that's disrespectful. So I think that's very important too. I think it's important to think about what what you want out of coming out of this experience. Because in the beginning it's like, oh my god, you're kind of excited and you're kind of stressed because there's so much that goes into this. You have to get your visa, you have to get all your papers, but it's good to think about like, what do I want at the end? What do I guess it's kind of expectations in a way, but it's like you want to like self-reflect and be like, oh my gosh, I did this, like, and I'm proud of myself for like reaching this goal.